Hey everyone, creating a new video for Farm Simulator 25, which just got released today. And this video is mostly for new players and what they should probably do before they even start. And I think the first thing you want to check before you do anything is go to the Options tab. Under the options, you can see here that I have turned down the music volume. I don't like the music playing in the background all the time. Go down to the next tab and you can see your video settings. If your game isn't running very well, you may want to go ahead and drop this hardware profile down lower. You cannot set this once you're in the game. It has to be outside of the game. So if you're looking for this inside the game and you can't find it, that's why. One other thing I like to do is if you go down to the bottom here under game, I go ahead and set the map key. I bind that to the key N. It just makes it a lot easier to get to the map. So the next thing we want to do is go ahead and go to career, select one of your empty slots. You have a lot of them. And the giant default maps, they give you 3 of them, and you can scroll through the 3 maps here. And as this game gets longer, more and more modded maps will come out, and you'll have more to choose from. So you think of the presets as like, you know, new, medium, hard. If you're a new player, go ahead and start new farmer. This is new. You can change your starting money. That was never an option before. So for us, we're just going to do new farmer, give us a farm, and then if you're also new, you may want to do this guided intro tour. For me, I'm not going to do that. So you'll have to create a character. It doesn't really matter what you create. And before you do anything, I recommend hitting the escape key and then going down to the bottom here. And we're going to set some settings here. So we can go to, first things first, we can go to game settings. And then your time scale right now is 5x, which means it's going 5 times the normal speed. I just set that to real time. You can always fast forward when you need it. The save interval, you can change that. And if you're getting frustrated with cars running into them, you can turn your traffic off. For days per month, this is kind of important. Right now, if it's set to 1 day, that means 1 day equals 1 month. So for me, I think that's a little too extreme. I think 4 days, which means that every day is 1 week. I think that's a little bit more reasonable. For example, if you go up to 20 days, you figure you work every single day, but you have the two days off for the weekend, Saturday and Sunday kind of thing. For now, I'm just going to set this to 4. I will turn on, this just makes the game harder, right? If you want super easy, you can turn all these off. You don't really have to worry about a lot of things. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and turn these on. I will disable disasters right now. This is a new feature, and I haven't really seen what that is, so I'm not going to have it on for this video. One thing I do like turning off is the automatic engine start. I like being able to hit the enter key and starting and stopping a vehicle. Also the trailer fill limit. So this kind of has to depend on like what's in your trailer. If you have like a trailer that holds 15,000 liters and you have it filled with hay, it's pretty light. However, if you have that same trailer filled with rocks, it won't let you store as much because of the weight. So the weight takes over. So if it's a 15,000 liter capacity with rocks, you may only be able to hold 9,000 liters before it's technically at its maximum weight. I turn that on. It's realistic. Sometimes it can be kind of a pain, but it is a little bit more realism. And I typically leave all these off because if I buy fuel, I want to use it. If I buy seeds, I want to use it. And if you buy seeds and fill up your seeder and this is still on, it's not going to use your reserve. So sometimes it's useful to have that on, but for now I'm just turning those off. Under general settings, I changed everything to be American. And one other setting that I like is vehicle arm sensitivity. I like having that really high because when you have like a front loader, I haven't tried it on this one, but typically 200%, 300%, when you have like a front loader, it just makes lifting the arm up and down, you don't have to use your mouse as much. It's very sensitive and it's easy to. So the very first thing you want to do is go ahead and hit the map. It's the probably most important thing to start off looking at and just to try to get an idea of your field and what you have. If you scroll up, you can see the whole city. And you can kind of see that you're blinking here. This is your icon. And if you use these filters up top, and what I'll do is I'll go ahead and just scroll through here. up until I get to farmland, and we'll go through all of them. You can see that I own 5 different farms, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so you can see that we have one main farm with our, our silo and our house and our garages and stuff like that. And then we have 4 additional fields. And when we look closely at the fields, we can see that each field has a different crop on it, just based off the color. If you look at the number 2 field and you match it up with the color, you can see that barley is planted on field 2. And if you click on barley and that takes away that filter, you can verify that that's it. If I do that same thing for corn, I don't have any cornfields, nothing's turning off and on. So you can see barley. And then for field 3, looks like we have wheat. Field 4 looks like it's empty because I don't see potatoes. And I think that's just an empty field. And then 5, it looks like it's canola because you can see that green matches up with that green. Okay, so those are our fields that we have. Now, just because it was planted there, that doesn't mean it's all in the same harvest scenario. It doesn't mean it's all in the same time frame, So as you can see, that not all the fields are in the same growth stage. For example, this field 2 has already been harvested. Field 3 and field 5 both need to be harvested, and field 4 has been plowed. If I go over again to soil composition, you can see that all 4 fields need plowing. Now, what's interesting about this is that I wish they did like lines because it's actually a double thing. If I unclick this, you can see that all the fields also need to be limed as well. And we'll see evidence of that on the actual fields themselves, but just keep that in mind that that red overtakes there. So the second tab here is the calendar tab. And this kind of dictates when you can plant certain types of plants, certain types of grain, or whether it be corn or oat, soybeans, and also when you can harvest. So for example, right now we're in the middle of August. You can see that by this line here. We cannot yet plant wheat, barley yet, but we can plant canola. Okay. And then if you look down here or on this side, we can't plant any of these until the following spring. The orange is when we can harvest. So we saw that one of our wheat fields needs to be harvested, and one of the canola fields needs to be harvested as well. So we're in that harvest time frame where it's okay to harvest. And as you scroll down, you can see that some crops are better than, like grass, you can almost plant and harvest almost year round. Okay. Animals, this is where it will list everything for your animals, and you can see at the top we have one cow pasture. So this is, if you have multiple things, just be aware that you might have to click up here to scroll through them. We have one cow pasture and we have 3 cows in that pasture. Okay. One thing you may get confused at is if you actually go to the cow pasture here and you look, you'll notice that, oh, I don't see any place for milk and dairy, right? And I have cows, I should be able to, get milk if I have the females. But no, if you actually look at what a cow pasture is, it specifically says it's not for dairy, it's just for breeding. Okay, so keep that in mind if you get confused. And we'll dig a little bit more into that after. Okay. And then you can see all the food and condition, health, and stuff like that. Now, we just started, so the health is low, but so as you go on, you want to make sure all that your cows stay healthy and are reproducing. Contracts are basically people paying you to do the work for them. So if someone needs like for example, this is perfect. They want their field 23 to be fertilized. And if you have your own equipment, you can certainly use that, and you won't have to pay this, less than $800 fee. Or you can borrow the items and get the job done at the cost of that. Production chains, this is a little bit more advanced, but just keep in mind that, if you're, for example, if you're planting in harvesting sunflower seeds, you can certainly just sell the sunflower seeds directly. However, you can also buy and create an oil mill, and you can drop your sunflower seeds off at the oil mill and press those seeds and turn them into sunflower oil, and then your product is selling sunflower oil and not sunflower seeds. It takes longer, but your profits might be a lot higher than just selling the regular seeds. And you can do that across the board, you know, with bakery and wheat and all sorts of things. You can sell silage for energy. Okay, this is the price section. So this is where you can get an idea of what it costs to buy. So barley, you can see the low right now is we're really at the low for selling barley. So if we harvested a field with barley right now, it may not be the best idea to sell it right now. We may want to go ahead and wait. Now, if you're out of money, and you have to sell at the low, then fine. And you can see if you're able to store that in your silo, if you sell it in the January timeframe, you're going to get a much better price for that. Here's the vehicles we own. It's not sorted for some reason, but so you just have to scroll through them. Here's our trailer. Here's what the trailer can store. You know, not all trailers are equal. Not all of them can store things like silage or stuff like that. This looks to be like a seeder, and here's the things it can seed. So obviously you can see it's missing some things, and that might confuse people initially. Like there's no sunflower on here, so you can't plant. That would be a planter. You can't plant sunflower with a seeder. Here's another tractor. Here's the horsepower. So when you look at tools, they usually give you an indication of what the tool horsepower is. Usually, if the tool requires 150 horsepower, you probably want a tractor, you know, higher than that. So just keep in mind, if your fields are level and there's no hills, it's going to be a little bit more flexible on you. But if you have any sort of hills, and you'll really start to feel that if your tractor is underpowered. Here it looks to be just like a cultivator. You can see the 110 horsepower. So 110 horsepower tool with 116 horsepower tractor, it's going to be okay on level land. However, if you're going uphill or something like that, it might be difficult to pull that with that tractor. Whereas this tractor has 160 to 200 horsepower depending on the engine package you bought. So going back to this, if you see that, just realize that if you bought the engine package with 160 horsepower, you can pay for the upgraded one up to 225. It also shows you the max speed, stuff like that. Okay. Here's our harvester. Here's how many liters of product it holds. Here's the header for it. This is the size, 6 meters. And then the trailer that you can put the header on if you have to go places. Hand tools, we don't have anything like that. I'm assuming that's like a shovel or a chainsaw maybe. Here's just some statistics on your finances, you know, how many animals you've sold, stuff like that. And overall statistics like your plow time. Anyways, you're probably not going to need a lot of that. So quick tip would be if you hit the P as in Paul key, that will bring you to the shop. This is where you can buy tractors. You can buy trucks, cars, all sorts of your tools, trailers, everything that you can buy is basically here, okay? And if you hit the Shift P, this will bring you to the landscape mode, is what they called it in the old version. Not sure what they're calling it in this one. From here, you can kind of get a bird's eye view of your farm and your fields. So here's a field that we own that's been harvested. Here's one that we need to harvest. Here's that empty plow field. So for example, if we wanted to go ahead and sell this garage, this shed, we can go ahead and sell it. You know, we'll get that much money back. Okay. One thing I noticed about the cow is if you look here and I go ahead and try to sell it, it shows as cow pasture. Okay, it's not a dairy farm. So if you go down to cows here, you can see that this cow pasture, and it specifically says this is a breeding barn. Milk production is not possible. Okay, so it's going to cost you more to get something that you can produce milk. You can also go ahead and do the landscape tool, sculpting. You can rise, build, create hills, level out stuff, and it's a learning curve on this. So you might want to save the game before you do anything. That way, if you mess it up, you can always load it back up. Here we can also go ahead and paint. So if I wanted to go ahead and create a grass field, I can go ahead and do that right here. Or I can just, undo it. And sometimes you have to match up the right one, right? As you can see, I'm not. Okay. So you can fix things like that. Make things nice and pretty if you wanted to. You can plant trees if you want. They are expensive. Every year there's been a mod where it's free landscape, where you don't get charged for landscaping and you don't get charged for trees or installing grass. I'm sure that will be a mod I download as soon as it comes out. And the same thing, you can actually install grass and shrubs and stuff like that. Fences, lights, and I think cosmetic type of buildings. Here's where you can install, better animal things for cows, horses, pigs, sheep, chickens, bees, and a dog house. Factories, this is where we kind of go into those factories and the production chains. So again, I think I used the example for sunflower. And so what you'll see is that somewhere in here will be a sunflower oil factory. All right, I don't want to have to find it, but it is in here. Here's an oil mill right here, okay? So what I could do is, if I have all my fields are planting sunflowers, I can install an oil mill, and I can drop off those seeds there, and they'll be pressed into oil. And that's what you'll be selling. You'll be outputting that. Here we can install sheds, garages, additional silos. So if you don't have a silo and you need one, go ahead and add it here. Here's like for silage, slurry. Here's just extensions we can add on. Constructibles is new. I believe you can put this and you can start adding. You can create your own lumber and build it. It's something new in this game. I have not done it yet. And that's basically it. If you look at the fields, there used to be a field called additional field info, and I think they incorporated that into this version. So that used to be a mod. If you look in the bottom right, you have field info. So this is telling me that it's owned by me. It's fertilized 0. It's field 4. It needs lime and plowing. Even though which is kind of a bug to me because it says it needs plowing, but if you look at the map, it says it's plowed. So I'm not sure why. I think that's a bug. Once you plow it once, you probably never have to worry about that again. But if you look at the field here, additional info, right, tells you that it's ready to harvest. It's canola. Your yield bonus is 22%. So because we never limed it and it never plowed it, we're taking a hit. So you can still harvest fields, or you can still plant on top of fields that need to be plowed. It's just you're not going to get maximum yield. So if you can't afford it, you may just want to push it off to the next season. Anyways, I think that's a good start for most beginners. If you have any questions or want me to talk about a specific topic, go ahead and leave me a comment and I'll try to create a video. Thank you.